You wake up early, you journal, you read the right books, set clear goals, even go to therapy. Yet deep down, something's still not clicking. It feels like you're running in place, doing everything right, but staying exactly where you've always been. It's exhausting, and it's not your fault. This isn't about lack of effort. It's about something deeper, something most people never see until it's too late. Napoleon Hill once said, "Action is the real measure of intelligence." But he didn't mean any action. He meant aligned action. And alignment doesn't come from checking off tasks on a to-do list. It starts somewhere else entirely. Right now, you might feel like your life is a loop, one where you change routines, chase new strategies, maybe even overhaul your entire schedule, only to find yourself emotionally back at square one, like using a new GPS route on an outdated system. No matter how many times you turn, you end up lost in the same old neighborhood. You set alarms, you practice gratitude, you listen to mindset podcasts while folding laundry. But it's like rearranging furniture in a house with a cracked foundation. On the surface, it looks productive, but something always feels off. The truth? You're not failing because you're doing it wrong. You're stuck because you're still being the same person. Most people think change means doing more, pushing harder, setting bigger goals. But what if true transformation isn't about pushing, but about becoming? No one tells you this because it's uncomfortable. It's easier to say, just hustle more, than to confront the real issue, your identity. Not the one on your driver's license, the one you've unknowingly been living by since childhood. The one that whispers, this is who you are, even when you try to act otherwise. It's the silent operating system behind every decision you make. The reason you second guess yourself, the reason opportunities feel out of reach even when they're right in front of you. And here's the part that hurts a little. Until you upgrade that, nothing outside will change. Not permanently, because life doesn't respond to what you do. It responds to who you are. This message isn't for everyone, but if it resonates with you, if you've ever looked in the mirror and wondered, why isn't this working? Then maybe it's time to stop fixing the outside and look in a little deeper. Because life doesn't change until you do. This isn't about motivation. You're already motivated. This is about becoming. You might be showing up every day, doing all the right things, but as the wrong version of yourself. The version shaped by fear, by old beliefs, by a script you didn't even write. And until that shifts, the results won't either. It's like wearing a costume to play a role you never auditioned for. You memorize the lines, you hit your cues, but something in you knows it's not who you really are. And maybe you felt it too, that moment where something inside whispers, there's more for you than this. But then almost as quickly another voice replies, who are you to want more? That inner battle isn't proof that you're lost. It's proof that a new version of you is trying to emerge. And maybe for years, you felt like life was happening to you, not through you. Like you were reacting, surviving, never truly choosing. But the moment you pause and decide to choose who you are from the inside out, everything changes. Because here's a quiet truth most never say. Your results in life don't reflect your goals. They reflect your identity. If deep down you still see yourself as the underdog, the outsider, the one who always falls short, then even your wins will feel temporary. So let me ask you something simple, but powerful. If you already were the person living your dream life, how would you think differently today? Would you hesitate to speak up in meetings? Would you scroll through your phone first thing in the morning, or sit with intention? Would you doubt your ideas, or would you act like they matter? What would shift if you believed fully that you already were enough? Don't rush past that question. Sit with it. Let it work on you. Because what you'll discover next might finally explain why your actions haven't worked yet. You're taking different actions, but are you still the same you? You've changed your habits. You're waking up earlier, eating better, reading more. You've cut out toxic friends, said no to distractions, maybe even invested in coaching. On the outside, it looks like growth, but inside, you still feel like the same you. And that's the problem no one warns you about. You can act different, but unless you are different, nothing truly shifts. Napoleon Hill didn't build a legacy on surface tactics. He spoke to the root. He knew. Sustainable transformation doesn't come from layering new behaviors over an old identity. It comes from identity change first, action second. So if you've ever felt like you're doing everything right and still spinning your wheels, this is why. Imagine painting over moldy walls. For a while, it looks fresh. Visitors might even compliment it. But slowly, that smell returns. The stains bleed through because you didn't clean the core. You just covered it up. That's what happens when we try to change our lives with strategy alone. We mask, we pose, we perform. But eventually, the old programming bleeds through. And here's the kicker. Pretending to be someone new is more exhausting than just staying stuck. You're not just working hard, you're also working against yourself. Every morning, it's like putting on a mask, trying to convince yourself you've changed while quietly hearing the old voice say, "This won't last." That's identity fatigue, and it's real. Napoleon Hill understood this. He saw that every outward result begins with an inward belief. Not a belief you say out loud, but one you live from. One so deep it runs your choices without asking permission. And that's what's keeping you stuck. The subconscious belief that you're not worthy, that you're not capable, that success is for them, not you. You can't outwork those beliefs. You have to upgrade them. Because identity is the root. Action is the fruit. Let that land. You can go to the gym 5 days a week, but if you still see yourself as someone who always quits, your body might change, but your belief won't. And sooner or later, the old you pulls you back. It's not because you're weak, it's because you're wired. Wired to stay loyal to who you think you are. Even if that version is outdated, limiting, or built from someone else's opinion of you. And that's why it's not enough to change what you do. You have to change who you believe you are. You might be wondering, how? How do I actually become that new version? That's the right question. But first, ask yourself this. If I couldn't take another step forward, what must I shift inside to finally reach the life I want? Don't skip this, because here's the pattern most people miss. Action without identity alignment leads to sabotage. Every time. You'll build momentum, then stall. Create a breakthrough, then backslide. Not because you're broken, but because your identity wasn't on board. And until your identity catches up to your ambition, you'll keep running and getting nowhere. Like sprinting on a treadmill. You're working harder than ever, but you're still in the same room. What if the solution isn't to run faster, but to step off? To stop chasing goals as the old you, and start building identity from the inside out. That's what Napoleon Hill meant when he wrote about definiteness of purpose. Not just knowing your goal, but becoming the kind of person who belongs there. Because real change isn't something you chase, it's someone you become. And that journey begins when you stop performing change and start embodying it. If that idea feels challenging, it's meant to, but it's also freeing because you don't have to do more. You just have to align deeper. And if that resonates, stay with me because next we'll explore exactly how identity is formed and how to finally take control of the script that's been running your life. But first, answer this. Who have I been trying to become? And what version of me have I been unwilling to let go of? You weren't born with your identity. It was assigned, absorbed, and rehearsed. From the moment you could understand language, people told you who you were. You're so shy. You're just not good at math. You're the peacemaker. You always mess things up. Maybe it wasn't said outright, but it was implied, repeated, and eventually believed. That's how identity works. Not something you chose, something you inherited. And like a script written long before opening night, you've been acting it out ever since. Following the stage directions, hitting your marks, not because it feels right, but because it feels familiar. Napoleon Hill understood this trap. He didn't just write about goals and vision. He warned about the silent forces shaping who we believe we are. And the most dangerous identity, the one we never question. Because if you don't question the script, you'll spend your life defending a role you never auditioned for. You'll say things like, "That's just how I am," or "I've always been this way." And you'll mistake history for destiny. But what if that story isn't true? What if you're not bad with money? You just grew up watching people stress over it. What if you're not a procrastinator? You were just praised for being easygoing? What if you're not unworthy? You were just raised by someone who couldn't love themselves. These stories become identities, and identities become cages. Even now, you might notice how your voice shifts depending on who you're around. how you play small in rooms where you used to feel unseen. That's not you, that's a script. And here's the most painful part. You didn't write it, but you've spent years defending it. Napoleon Hill challenged readers to take inventory, not just of their finances or time, but of their beliefs, because he knew your belief system is your blueprint. And if the blueprint says you're average, no matter how high you build, you'll keep hitting the same low ceiling. This is the invisible trap. The reason real change feels impossible, because you're trying to change your life while still wearing the mask of the old character. And here's the truth most people never hear. You can rewrite the script. Not overnight, not with fake affirmations or wishful thinking, but with awareness, with choice, with practice. First comes the pause, the moment you recognize this isn't really me. Then comes the decision. If I didn't have to play this role, who would I be? You're not your past. You're not your habits. You're not the voice in your head that tells you to stay small. You're the one who hears the voice. And that means you have power. But power unused becomes permission for the script to keep running. So here's the awakening. If someone else's words created your identity, you can choose new words. If your past wrote a story of fear, you can choose a new theme. If your old environment boxed you in, you can step outside and breathe different air. Because the most radical act of self-love isn't to achieve more. It's to say, I no longer accept this role. Your true self, the one not shaped by trauma, fear, or repetition, isn't something you become. It's something you uncover. And the more you question the old lines, the more space you create for a new character to emerge. Not a fake version, not an upgrade, just you, finally. Write this down. My old identity was built by. My chosen identity becomes. And don't just write it, speak it, move with it, practice it like lines before a play until it's no longer acting, it's just living. If this truth lands in your heart, let it shake something loose. You're not meant to repeat, you're meant to create. And if that feels exciting but terrifying, good. It means you're waking up, because now that you see the trap, it's time to break free. In the next part, we'll go deeper into how to embody the new identity, not just dream it, but live it. But first, be honest. What part of your script are you finally ready to erase? You've questioned the script. You've opened the cage. Now you're standing at the door. And here's the part most people never prepare for. The hardest step isn't opening the door. It's walking through it without dragging the old you behind. You can't be both, the old you and the free you. One wants comfort, the other wants freedom. And those two rarely hold hands. The old you knows how to keep things safe, predictable, acceptable. It knows how to blend in, avoid risk, shrink just enough to not make noise. It knows how to delay dreams with phrases like someday and maybe when. It knows how to dress up the same story with a better job title or more followers. But it's still the same story. Most people don't try to escape the cage. They just try to upgrade it. New habits, new haircut. Same fear, same need for approval. That's the trap. And it's sneaky because it looks like progress, but it's still prison. The free you? That version doesn't wait for permission. It doesn't bargain with fear. It acts. And here's the truth. You can't hold on to the cage and fly at the same time. Right now, you're at the choice point. The cage door is open, but have you memorized the shape of the bars? Napoleon Hill called this the terror barrier, the invisible wall between who you are and who you could be. It shows up when you try to act differently, speak up, risk rejection, or dare to believe you're more than your past. The old you will scream. It will try to negotiate. It will say, don't rock the boat. You've come so far, why risk it? But discomfort is not danger. It's a sign of growth, a sign you're stepping out of who you were and into who you choose to be. You won't feel ready. That's okay. Readiness isn't a feeling, it's a decision. Here's where most people turn back. They confuse fear with failure. But what if fear is a doorway? What if anxiety is just energy without a direction? Your future self, the one you see in your clearest, most courageous moments, already knows the way. Let them lead. Act like they're watching. What would you do today if your future self could see you? Would you scroll or create? Would you shrink or speak? Would you give up or take one more step forward? Every time you act in alignment with your future self, you're voting for who you want to be. Repetition builds identity. That's how it works. You don't become confident overnight. You become confident by making decisions the confident version of you would make. You don't become powerful by reading more books. You become powerful by acting in alignment again and again until the old identity fades like an echo you no longer believe. And yes, it starts small. You speak up in a meeting. You say no without guilt. You follow through even when no one is watching. These moments may seem ordinary, but they're sacred because they're how freedom is built. You're not becoming someone new. You're remembering who you were before the world told you to be small. Only you can do this. Not a coach, not a book, you. So today, act in alignment. Just once. That's enough. Because when you take even a single step as your future self, the old you loses power. And with enough steps, the old you becomes just a memory. You've seen the loop, you've questioned the script, you've opened the cage. The future you is waiting. Before we end, answer this. What part of your identity are you ready to outgrow? What future trait will you start living now? If this moved something in you, subscribe to Mindset Mastery Hub because this isn't motivation. It's a transformation movement. And in the next video, we'll go deeper into what keeps most people stuck, how to stop upgrading the prison and finally leave it. Title of next video, Keep Going Like Napoleon Hill. That unstoppable willpower starts here.